everyone, this is Sara Naumann at the Clearsnap booth here at CHA, the big trade show in Anaheim, California. And today I want to show you a quick and easy technique for painting with your pigment inks. So we're going to do this beautiful colored focal here on the stamped card. So let's take a look. First of all, I'm going to start with a piece of plain white matte cardstock. Now you can also do this with a glossy cardstock if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and stamp this up with some clear embossing ink, and I'm using a big beautiful floral stamp. This is from the Floral Fantasy from hot off the press. So I'm going to ink this up with the Clearsnap clear embossing ink, and then I'm going to emboss this with denim. So let me stamp this down here on my white cardstock, and you'll notice I've got a piece of scrap paper underneath. So what I'm going to do after I've got that stamped is simply open this up and sprinkle this with my denim embossing powder. So I can be quite liberal when I'm sprinkling this on, because I know with that folded piece of scrap paper that I can funnel all of my embossing powder right back into the jar. So let's get that all embossed on here, and then what I'm going to do is make sure that I've got this all nice and clean and use maybe a brush to get off the excess bits on here. Then I can funnel my embossing powder back into the jar. So now I have stamped and heat embossed this beautiful floral image with that fabulous denim embossing powder. So I am ready to get into painting the image. So I'm working with the balloons set of the Colorbox pigment inks, and I'm going to bring in a clear stamping block. This is going to be my palette. So I'll simply take my ink pad, turn it over, and squash it down onto the block, and this is going to be my palette. Now I want to add a little bit of water to this, so I'm using my Eyes Ink spritzer, and I've got this filled with water, and I'll just give a few quick spritzes to get this really nice and liquid. Now I'm using my Smooch accent tips, and these are going to be great for painting in my image. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the leaves here. I'm going to pick up some of the yellow and some of the green and just begin adding in my color like so. Now I'm going to be working at a bit of an angle with my accent tip, and then for some of the finer areas, that's really where I can get the tip in here, and that works beautifully. So I'm going to simply color in the leaves and the stem using a mixture of that yellow and green. As I go through here, I know that I can add some more of the color if I want to just simply wipe off the block and then squash that ink pad back on and add a little bit more. So again, I'm going to come into the stems and the leaves with the fine point of the accent tip, and then come in at an angle with the larger areas. And then what I can do is simply clean off, wipe off my accent tip, and come back and do a little bit more of the color, or swap to another color. And I do hang on to my accent tips and use them over and over and over again. But I'm going to swap out to a clean one to get into the flower. And here I'm just going to pick up some of the yellow, some of the purple, and some of that orange, and simply begin coloring like so. And if you need to refresh, you can just give another quick spritz onto your palette and come back and add some more color. So the accent tips actually work as a really nice applicator. Of course, you can vary the amount of color that you're doing depending on how much of the water you're using. You can pick up a little or a lot. Now the reason that I did the embossing on the flower is to give me a bit of an edge on here, so that that raised edge of the embossing is actually helping to guide my accent tip along here, so that I don't have to worry about going over the edge. So I'll come in here, add a little bit more color, and you can see where I'm starting to get some really fun variety in my color as well. You can add in some purple if you want to, and come along here. Now this technique works beautifully with any of your floral stamps. I think it would also be a gorgeous look with any butterflies or dragonfly images that you have as well. Anything that you want to add a soft, pretty color to. And you can see it's coming together really pretty quickly. Now, it is giving me a bit of a watercolor effect, which means that once I have the color on here, if I wanted to add more water to the painted image, I could also do that. I can also let this dry and then add more and more layers of color. So I've just about got my flower colored on here, and I'll go ahead and hold this up so that you can see how quickly and easily I was able to achieve that really soft, lovely watercolor effect. So of course you can do this for any of your botanicals, but I think would be really beautiful for butterflies, dragonflies, any bird stamps you have, and feather stamps as well. So this is how you can do that quick and easy painting with Pigment Ink's technique. Now once I have this all done, I am just going to go ahead and pop it down onto the front of my card. So I've mounted it up onto a green cardstock. Let me grab this, and then also onto a yellow, onto the orange, and then popped it down onto the front of the card. So let me bring back in my original card and I can show this to you again. Hold this up. So you can see I've added the green brads, one at each corner. I've also got some ribbon going wrapped around here, and then I have a little bit of ribbon tied in a knot just to accent that floral piece. The blessings down here, it could be a stamped and embossed image, but this happens to be a sticker that I've just simply put down. Adds a little bit of color and shine. So this is how easily you can paint with your Pigment Ink pads to create beautiful, soft watercolor effects for your cards and paper crafts.